Hey there Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. Okay, so I am here today with the introduction video to Aquarius season. Now, I am fully aware that Aquarius season has come and gone, so this video is a little bit late, so I do apologize, but I do just want to say here, happy birthday to all of you solar Aquarians out there. I hope you all had a wonderful birthday. But yes, we are going to be taking a look here today at your Aquarius house within your natal birth chart, followed by your Uranus sign and house as well. And then we're going to finish up by addressing your 11th house within your natal birth chart as well. And this is all really with the intention of describing the archetype of Aquarius overall within astrology. But what I want to know before we do get started, do you have any planets within the sign of Aquarius? And if you do, what planets do you have in that sign? Also, let me know if you don't even have any planets there, or what planets are going on within your 11th house. Also, let me know your Uranus sign and house as well. All of those details you can put in the comment section down below. Quick shout out as well to the winner of the Aquarius round from the Zodiac Art competition, and that was Elijah. Elijah made this wonderful front cover, so well done, congratulations to Elijah. But if you want to pick up a copy of this book, then go to the link in the description box below. It has more information all about your Aquarius house, your Uranus sign and house, the 11th house. It's also got information about retrogrades and interceptions as well, so if you have Aquarius intercepted or Uranus intercepted, may be good to pick up a copy so you can see for yourself. But ultimately it's a practical how-to guide. I really wanted to make astrology practical, so like I said, if you want a copy of this book, description box, there is a link down there. Okay, so with all of those introductions out of the way, let's do this. For more information all about archetypes, then please be sure to check out my introduction video. But in a nutshell, an archetype is a primitive mental image derived from the collective unconscious. And when it comes to the sign of Aquarius, the mental image associated with this archetype is what looks like a wave. And it's this wave that can signify a flow of energy or a current of electricity. So in this way, this symbol can be viewed as a free flow or a stream of consciousness, where the mind really downloads innovative ideas and concepts. Furthermore, the symbol can also represent the carrying or bringing of knowledge, or should I say, the bearer of, or bearing of knowledge. After all, it is the symbol of Aquarius that depicts a woman carrying a jug of water, the water bearer, of course. Now, this can be slightly misleading because it suggests that Aquarius is a water sign, which we all know, okay, if you're watching this, if you usually watch my videos, you should know that Aquarius is in fact an air sign. But it is Aquarius that offers the water of life to mankind without getting itself personally involved. Notice how Aquarians like to communicate their knowledge with others without getting their emotions wrapped up in the process. Yep, it is the symbol of Aquarius that signifies objectivity and forward movement towards a brighter and better future for all. Aquarius aims to bring change to the world and to share what it has learned and knows to be true. Now, Aquarius is also a fixed sign, meaning that it's determined, it's persistent, and it's about focus and sustainment. It's also an air sign, like I said, therefore it's concerned with the intellect and relationships. And so essentially this fixed air combination results in a sign concerned with sustaining communication and intellect. Yeah, just watch an Aquarius in action when taking part in a conversation. They're very good at keeping the discussion going. This fixed air combination also can suggest that Aquarius is good at keeping focused whenever studying or learning something new. However, before we do dive further into the archetype of Aquarius, let's actually take this a step back in order to identify where we are coming from. And it is Capricorn season that comes before Aquarius season within the astrological wheel. And what Capricorn shows us is how to materialize and ground our future aspirations, to put in the time and effort necessary towards achieving the future we ever so desire. And in the process, we learn a great deal about respect, commitment, honesty and integrity. We also learn how to respect our elders and members of authority, as well as limitations that are very much a part of the journey. Because, hey, limitations do require a lot of patience and waiting time. We also learn from Capricorn how to hold ourselves accountable for our actions, how to really take responsibility. Ultimately, it is through the archetype of Capricorn that we build a strong character and we really develop a backbone by understanding the process found in self-discipline and committing to something. Yes, you will be tested. Yes, you will have days when you feel like giving up, moments of self-doubt, anxiety, negativity. But as Rocky once said, it's not about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. However, as we approach Aquarius season, well, the dialogue changes. It changes quite a bit because Aquarius isn't so interested in conventional social structures or sticking to the rules or the strict guidelines. Aquarius likes to fly high and take the non-conventional route to life. Though, having said that, Aquarius still chooses to play by the rules, provided it understands and knows why the rules are there in the first place. Sure, Aquarius will follow authority, provided it makes the decision to do so. It is really the archetype of Aquarius that comes along after Capricorn and questions, challenges the existing systems and operations. And after analyzing such systems, Aquarius comes up with many theories and concepts and ideas as to how to, well, change them, hopefully for the better. Aquarius, you see, is fascinated by human behavior on a collective scale. It sets its curious eyes upon how society behaves and interacts with itself. The more wacky, weird, and unusual humans are, the more intrigued the sign or the archetype of Aquarius may become. So in this respect, Aquarius basically teaches us the importance of being an individual within society where we embrace what makes us unique and different, whilst also being a part of society at the same time. So knowing that we are part of something that is greater than ourselves. Aquarius is also an archetype that really seeks out alternative options so that things can be better for everyone as a whole unit. And furthermore, Aquarius seeks to know how situations and experiences are going to impact society in the future. So take for an example here, right? The typical Aquarius parent. I want you to imagine a father who is trying to hold all members of the family together by gathering them up into a room for a family meeting. The father may ask each family member what they think individually, but he may base his decision upon the collective opinion or verdict. Now this approach right here can be relatively tricky. because it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone is going to be pleased with the result, right? A few individuals, they may be disappointed. They may think also that their father is simply being unfair. But I suppose, as the saying goes, you can't please everyone. Then again, Aquarius is also an archetype that signifies an individual's ability to revolt or break away from systems that it does not agree with. Aquarius is the archetype of change and social reform, and it really does concern itself with injustices. Kind of similar to Libra, but in comparison to Libra, Aquarius is much more vocal over what it discovers. Meaning that the archetype of Aquarius teaches us how to include others through group associations and so on, whilst simultaneously being aware of the inconsistencies that exist between people within groups as well. Aquarius will refuse to accept social restraints based merely on the majority rule formula. And this right here, folks, is the complete paradox of the archetype of Aquarius, because on one hand, Aquarius takes the majority into consideration, like I said, but on the other hand, Aquarius refuses to comply with the majority, essentially suggesting that Aquarius can signify our tendency to be different for the sake of being different. Just for the sake of it, and also just for the sake of rebellion as well. So this whole being a rebel without a cause is very Aquarius. Like the rebellious teenager who skips school, for example. In fact, it is the archetype of Aquarius that can be either conservative or progressive, or can be a bit of both. Though, to be fair, Aquarius energy can be pretty radical and take things to the extremes as well. Not to mention, Aquarius also doesn't really like labels either. But yet, the moment an Aquarius joins a movement or group that it chooses to follow, it probably won't shut up about it. Indeed, it is the archetype of Aquarius that can get their own ego wrapped up in the collective. Which, by the way, is another paradox of this sign, because the Aquarius energy may want to be free from labels by being their own individual person, but at the same time, they may also want to connect with the collective identity to such an extent that they are out of touch with their own individuality. Another thing about this archetype is that it encourages us to look at situations from a bird's eye view, and it's also a humanitarian sign. Now, that's not to say that all Aquarians will give to charity, volunteer, or sponsor certain causes. I mean, I'm an Aquarius and I do not give to charity because I am extremely skeptical. Very skeptical over where my money actually goes. Yes, an Aquarius may do these things, but still, by humanitarian, it can also translate to Aquarians thinking about other people before themselves. And they may also encourage others to think for themselves, to think freely. But kind of going back here for just a moment to the whole being skeptical of charities and different organizations, well, Aquarius is interested in conspiracy theories. It's an archetype that enjoys subjects and topics that are a little out there, and they can often get into trouble for doing so. Though, it is still Aquarius that is a sign of coming together, really, and being a part of a community. Aquarius really is this archetype that signifies our ability to come together no matter who we are or what we've been through, making Aquarius an archetype of community, togetherness, group involvements, diversity, and global thinking. We learn through this archetype what it means to be human, whilst learning how to accept each other as humans, even if we disagree over what we do as humans. Okay, so with the archetype of Aquarius really explained, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some clips and media that I personally think can be associated with this archetype. Now, wherever Aquarius is located within your natal birth chart, so your Aquarius house within your natal birth chart, it is going to show you where you rebel against authority or social norms. It's going to be an area of life where you learn how to think more freely and experiment with progressive ways of collective association. So for example, if you have the sign of Aquarius ruling your third house, you may rebel or break rules when it comes to your education. You may experiment when it comes to subjects that you're learning, like being the cool person who is studying astrology or astronomy. Or say, for example, you have the sign of Aquarius ruling your ninth house. Well, you may rebel against professors or scholars or religious leaders and gurus. You may be about free thinking when it comes to philosophy. You may refuse to be restricted or confined by any type of religion or belief system. The Aquarius house as well can show you where you pay attention to lifestyle trends that shake things up within society. And so by focusing on these changes, you may have the ability to predict the future. For example, if you have Aquarius ruling your fourth house, you may pay attention to changes made within the property ladder. And so by paying attention to these changes and these patterns, you may be able to purchase a modern home for a much better deal, for example. Or let's say you have Aquarius ruling your 10th house. You may pay attention to the changes that occur when it comes to career, when it comes to vocation. And so by paying attention to these things, you can then maybe land a position that is quite original, or you may even invent a new position that hasn't even been done before. Furthermore, the Aquarius house is also where you play around with alternative options and possibilities. It's really where you can become fascinated by anything that's foreign or non-traditional or unusual. So for example, if you have Aquarius ruling your second house, alternative options that you may explore may be in association with the likes of your spending or earning potential. You may also be fascinated by other people's unusual spending habits or quirky fashion sense. Or let's say, for example, you have Aquarius ruling your 8th house. Well, you may seek out alternative options when it comes to your sexuality. You may be fascinated by weird or strange sexual interactions, or you may be willing to experiment in the bedroom or with your sexuality. However, the Aquarius house can also be an area of life where your behavior becomes quite erratic or unpredictable, startling and disruptive. It's where we can be uncooperative and pretty radical as a way to make a social statement. So for example, if you have Aquarius ruling your 6th house, you may make unpredictable changes or be quite erratic when it comes to the likes of your diet or your nutrition. You may also make a social statement through the food that you eat or through the day job that you have. Or you may even surprise others with your day job or with your really erratic time schedule. Let's say you have the sign of Aquarius ruling your 12th house. Well, you may show a pretty erratic approach when it comes to your spirituality. You may make a social statement through the likes of yoga or meditation, or you may seek to really change and completely revolutionize society's attitudes or views towards spirituality. The Aquarius house can also signify the area of life where you harbor innovative and idealistic attitudes that are futuristic, and these ideas can usually be really associated with the betterment of mankind. It is the archetype of Aquarius that looks at its ideal utopia or paradise or nirvana, okay? So meaning this heaven on earth mentality, suggesting here that the Aquarius house can represent your utopia, your individual utopia where you think of the best future for the highest number of people, okay? So for example, if you have Aquarius ruling your 5th house, you may want the best future possible for your children. Or if you have Aquarius ruling your 11th house, you may really want for there to be the best future for your community or your society. However, whilst these ideas can be seen as pretty brilliant, they can also be viewed as a bit out there and difficult to ground. And come to think about it, really, what is a utopia to one person may actually be a complete hell to another person. Lastly then, the Aquarius house can also represent the area of life where you remain objective and personal. So it's where you really have this bird's eye view. It's where you observe. So for example, if you have Aquarius ruling your 1st house, you may have this very objective view towards life overall. You may dislike labels being placed onto you or onto other people even, or you may be this person who really embraces change more easily than others. Let's say for example you have Aquarius ruling your 7th house. You may remain impersonal within your one-on-one relationships. Maybe you don't like to become too emotionally attached with other people, at least not at the beginning or very quickly. Or maybe you don't really let your feelings get in the way whenever you're giving advice to your significant other or to others overall. Now when it comes to the ruling planet of Aquarius being Uranus, now of course this is the modern day ruler of Aquarius. Well, Uranus, the whole function of Uranus is about creating alternatives and breaking through old patterns and limitations. It's Uranus that shows you how to make your individual stamp on things where you are capable of fresh ideas and originality. The whole function of Uranus is really to experiment. It's a planet of innovation and believes to have many great ideas. However, when these ideas have been put to the test, they may not turn out the way we first thought. Uranus, you see, is concerned with new trends at the risk of disrupting the natural order of things. It's a planet that can be relatively chaotic and kind of all over the place. So it's good to also keep in mind that we can receive backlash in the name of progression and evolution. But we may also make new friends and social interactions as well. In going beyond what is known, Uranus seeks to shatter existing structures. And the reason for why Uranus does this is for improvement. It's about discovering the unique, different, or cool option over the old, outdated, inflexible option. Uranus will hold onto a perspective long enough to really figure out whether or not it's a universal concept or simply just a whimsical theory. Furthermore, Uranus is also about knowledge, truth, and freedom. Uranus is a planet that detests imprisonment and confinement, and it's also a planet that functions on seeking out what is true and what can be risen above oppression. Uranus also represents intuition that comes like lightning in a flash. It is the higher octave of Mercury, and it is also a generational planet. And so Uranus stays in a sign for about 7 or so years. And what it does is it acts as a catalyst for change within society. It represents how society invents new technologies and cultural improvements. And it also signifies how society revolutionizes current states of affairs through the likes of fashion, politics, art, music, travel, and so on. Meaning that whatever sign Uranus is in within your natal birth chart is going to show you how your particular generation has been a catalyst for change and improvement. And it's also going to show you how your generation moves towards your collective idealistic utopia by taking part in the likes of protests, movements, parties, though also keeping in mind that particular groups and movements that we join may just turn into cults. Now, whichever house Uranus is in, it's going to be a lot more personal to you, okay? And so the Uranus house is going to show you where you create alternatives and break through old, outdated patterns. It's also going to show you where you make your unique stamp on things, where you come up with fresh ideas and original thought, as well as where you can cause chaos and create havoc by refusing to follow rules or authority. It's a highly unpredictable area of your life where you just might experience sudden changes as well. And it's going to be where you can make impulsive decisions to discover whether or not you were completely bonkers for making such a decision. Alright, so now looking at your 11th house within your natal birth chart. Well, the 11th house is going to show you how you are part of something that's much larger or greater than yourself, so a bigger system. It's really an area of life where a singular person influences an entire collection of people. This may be difficult to pinpoint exactly, but it is the 11th house that really looks at how a person can impact another person, followed by another, and so on. It really does represent how interconnected everything on the planet, everything within space really is. And so in this respect, the 11th house can show you how you function as part of a system. So for example, if you have Libra ruling your 11th house, you may be highly cooperative towards others, and you may also be quite social and friendly towards society. Or for example, if you have Capricorn ruling your 11th house, you may be quite guarded around others. But at the same time, you may know how to get shit done, to be quite frank, within the system that you're a part of. Furthermore, the 11th house can represent the collective's identity. So for example, being a fan of a particular football team, or telling others that you're a vegan or a vegetarian or a carnivore. And these things of course can correlate with your religious or your political beliefs as well. So for example, saying that you're a conservative or a feminist, or that you're Jewish or you're Muslim. Basically, the 11th house really looks at labels that you refer to yourself as based on the type of group that you're a part of, the type of society that you're a part of, either that you grew up in or that you consciously choose to be a part of. So in this way, it is your 11th house within your natal birth chart that is going to show you the ways in which you approach collective identities. So for example, if you have Pisces ruling your 11th house, you may be highly fluid and adaptable towards the collective's identity. Maybe you change your individual identity in order to mirror the collective's identity. Or let's say you have Gemini ruling your 11th house. Well, you may spread yourself pretty thin when it comes to collective identities. You may be very flexible when it comes to these things. And so you may be quite open to joining new communities, or you may be just curious about other people's ways of life. Naturally, the 11th house can represent group associations such as our friendship circles, organizations, sororities, clubs, networks, and cliques, and so on, meaning that the 11th house can signify the types of groups that you choose to join. So for example, if you have Cancer ruling your 11th house, you may join groups that involve support and care, such as family support groups or food tasting classes. Or if you have Leo ruling your 11th house, you may join groups that really involve creativity and self-expression, such as an art class or a drama class. Meaning really here that it really is the 11th house that can equivalent into how you link together through group activities. And of course, a big one is through friendship specifically here. And so the 11th house can show you the ways in which you actually make friends and how you really come across as a friend in order to be a part of a friendship circle. So for example, if you have Virgo ruling your 11th house, you may use a lot of discernment when it comes to making friends, or you may act as a friend that is quite critical, or a friend that gives great advice, practical advice. Let's say for example that you have Scorpio ruling your 11th house. You may come across as quite secretive, or you may really take time just to trust your friends or open up with your friends. You may also have the tendency of cutting off those that you don't deem as friendship material. Or this can simply be that your friendship circle is seen as a ride or die friendship circle, where you will go to the ends of the earth for your friends. So given everything explained so far with the 11th house, it really is the 11th house that is a highly social house, as it addresses how humans behave and interact with one another. Whether that be on a small scale, so being around a campfire, or that be on a larger scale, being a nation, a country, or a state, where everyone is united by a common culture or language. It truly is an area of life where like-minded people unite and they come together in unison. The 11th house as well is also quite a highly ideological house, where people relate with alliances based on their ideas and ideals, especially when it comes to the likes of politics and economics. Though following on from this point, it's also a house of our hopes and wishes for the future. It really does signify future visions that society wishes to achieve, where society yearns for a better tomorrow, so to speak. So in this way, the 11th house can rule over the likes of petitions, rallies, protests, and voting. So for example, if you have the sign of Aries ruling your 11th house, you may really seek to be at the front line when forging a new path for society. You may be a risk taker or be daring enough to try new strategies when it comes to society. Or for example, if you have Sagittarius ruling your 11th house, you may show much optimism towards the future. Then again, you may also be quite rowdy and preachy and crude in your approach. But yet, the more society pushes for change, the more complex and obscure things become. Because what was once one strand of string becomes thousands. Imagine a group of environmentalists who wish to create change by urging society to stop consuming meat. This action in itself creates division between those who choose to eat meat and those who don't. Both sides come up with their theories, their research, and their evidence to back up their claims, to back up their decisions to eat or not eat meat. And from this debate, more controversial discussions are had, but it's from this controversy that more division arises. Mankind can't seem to challenge each other's theories and arguments without getting triggered and emotionally invested, can they? And that's exactly what Aquarius is here to teach us, is how to leave the emotion out of the equation and to speak freely together with each other. Basically, the 11th house signifies how a person's thoughts and opinions are influenced by a group ideal. It is where we discover our tribe, our community, our people, connected through being like-minded whilst also embracing our differences. So, if you have Taurus ruling your 11th house, your tribe may be associated with food, money, or pleasure. Or if you have Aquarius ruling your 11th house, your tribe may be associated with social justice, science, or space. Indeed, this process of togetherness and connection is not black and white. It's extremely grey. Human beings are quite complex creatures. And besides, the ego doesn't really like to be wrong, does it? Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes my really long introduction video to the archetype of Aquarius. Again, if you do have any planets in Aquarius, let us know in the comment section, along with your 11th house placements, along with your Uranus placement. Yeah, let us know in the comment section down below. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, thank you for subscribing, and of course, if you would like to see more videos from myself and you have not yet subscribed, then go right ahead and click that subscribe button. And I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye!